Superior firepower, supersonic speed, and advanced stealth. These are the traits people often think of when it comes to sixth-generation fighter jets. While many major powers are still struggling with their designs, the Chinese, often dismissed as mere copycats, have unexpectedly surged ahead. The J-36 fighter jet was unveiled with the ambition to surpass the B-21 Raider and leave fifth-generation fighters trailing behind. But does it truly break through technological limits, or is it merely a strategic propaganda move from Beijing? On March 21, 2025, President Donald Trump officially signed the development contract for the sixth-generation fighter, designated the F-47. This project is part of the Next Generation Air Dominance (NDAT) program initiated by the U.S. Air Force, aimed at ensuring absolute air superiority throughout the 21st century. Boeing was selected as the lead contractor, beating out several major competitors to spearhead one of Washington's most ambitious defense projects in recent years. According to many experts, this decision signifies that the era of U.S. Air Force dominance will continue for decades, despite the rapid rise of rival powers. However, many have overlooked one crucial detail. In December 2024, on the birthday of the late Chairman Mao Zedong, China unexpectedly released a series of images showcasing its very own sixth-generation fighter jet. The J-36, developed by the Chengdu Aerospace Corporation, immediately became the focus of international media attention. Although still in the testing phase, it is expected to officially enter service by 2030. In Beijing's strategic vision, this aircraft will serve as a spearhead to directly confront America's next-generation weapon systems. The project marks a bold declaration that China has broken free from its dependence on Russia or the West. No longer content with the image of a copycat, China is ready to challenge Washington's technological supremacy head-on. In reality, developing weapons designed to counter U.S. capabilities is nothing new for the world's most populous nation. Since the early 2000s, Beijing began researching and developing the DF-21D missile, a weapon nicknamed the Carrier Killer, and considered a serious threat to U.S. carrier strike groups in the Western Pacific. More recently, China unveiled the DF-17, a hypersonic missile capable of penetrating nearly all modern defense systems, including Aegis and THAAD. Even its advanced fighter jet programs, such as the J-20 and J-31, are seen as aggressive moves to compete directly with America's fifth-generation fighters. These efforts clearly demonstrate Beijing's ultimate goal: gradually narrowing the strategic deterrence gap with its adversary. However, the competitive pressure has never stopped there. When the United States officially unveiled its B-21 Raider next-generation stealth bomber, the strategic balance once again shifted heavily in Washington's favor. Debuting at the end of 2022, the B-21 features a tailless flying wing design and integrates cutting-edge stealth technologies, rendering its radar signature nearly undetectable. With a weapons payload capacity of up to 9 tons, it can carry nuclear bombs, bunker-busting bombs, and various cruise missiles, such as the JAS SMR, capable of delivering devastating strikes against high-value targets deep within Chinese territory. What makes this bomber even more dangerous is its 9,600 kilometers, 6,000 miles operational range without the need for refueling. This means it can take off from Alaska, where the U.S. maintains key strategic air bases in the Pacific, and strike critical military and political centers deep inside the Chinese mainland, without distance being a limiting factor. If launched from bases in Guam or Australia, the strike time would be significantly shorter, creating the possibility of surprise attacks on high-priority targets. Beyond that, the B-21 Raider has been described as a digital phantom. This aircraft possesses advanced electronic warfare capabilities and can command and coordinate with UAVs or next-generation fighter jets. It demonstrates that the U.S. has fundamentally reshaped its aerial warfare doctrine, turning its newest aircraft into a fully integrated, multi-role weapon system that many experts call the strategic knockout punch of the 21st century. However, what's remarkable is that even Chinese state media has had to acknowledge this threat. Specifically, in an analysis published on May 5th in the Naval Weapons Military Journal, a publication under the China Shipbuilding Industry Corporation, CSIC, the B-21 Raider was described as a strategic threat that their current fifth-generation fighters, such as the J-20, are completely incapable of countering. Because of this, Beijing was forced to develop an entirely new platform, not just to catch up, but to surpass America's technological edge. In this context, the sixth-generation fighter program emerged as an inevitable choice. The country's leadership now understands they can no longer rely solely on copying or upgrading existing technologies. To maintain a balance of power with Washington, they must establish a new foundation that integrates multiple advanced elements, from full-spectrum stealth, supercruise engines that operate without afterburners, to future technologies such as artificial intelligence and directed energy weapons. All these factors must be incorporated into the design. Although the path from prototype to active service remains long and filled with risks, the debut of the J-36 reflects an undeniable reality. The aerial arms race is no longer a one-sided game dominated by the U.S. If the B-21 Raider represents Washington's strategic bomber for maintaining long-range strike superiority, then Beijing is placing its bet on an ace card in the form of an entirely new generation of fighter aircraft. In this regard, China appears to have taken the lead, being the first to field a sixth-generation fighter prototype ahead of its rival. Moreover, the J-36 is expected to become the direct countermeasure to the B-21 Raider, a maneuverable aerial shield capable of intercepting and destroying America's strategic Phantom in a potential conflict scenario. Since its first reveal at the end of 2024, the J-36 has quickly become the center of attention within the international military community. In recent months, a series of images purportedly showing the prototype of this next-generation fighter have continuously surfaced on Chinese forums. Although there has been no official confirmation from Beijing, the level of detail in each photo and video clip has been sufficient for analysts to begin piecing together the initial characteristics of the J-36, the secret weapon of China's Air Force. The first standout feature is its overall shape. Unlike traditional fighter jets, the J-36 has been developed with a tailless delta wing design, combined with smaller, sleeker canards compared to the J-20. Eliminating the vertical stabilizers commonly seen on most previous generation fighters significantly reduces radar cross-section and improves aerodynamic efficiency. This is a breakthrough design reminiscent of the YF-23's aerodynamic philosophy, a prototype once abandoned by the US but still regarded as one of the most optimized designs of the 1990s. Additionally, observers have identified numerous elements evolved from the J-31 but heavily upgraded with composite materials and multi-layer stealth surface technologies. The smooth, angular surfaces and meticulously refined contours clearly demonstrate that China has moved closer to the sixth-generation fighter standard. Satellite imagery captured at the Yanglia test base further reinforces this assessment. On the runway, the airframe appears larger than the F-35, but smaller than the B-2 Spirit, featuring diamond-shaped wings and a belly weapons bay clearly visible beneath its fuselage. The most debated detail is the large, transparent bubble canopy that covers the entire cockpit area, allowing two pilots to sit side by side. This configuration is extremely rare in modern fighter design, though it has appeared before. For instance, the US once used the F-111 Aardvark, and Russia fields the Su-34 fullback, both employing similar cockpit layouts. This design choice suggests that China may be pursuing a new combat doctrine. The primary pilot focuses on flying and engaging in air combat. The secondary pilot manages UAV coordination or electronic warfare systems. In modern warfare, synchronizing multiple forces, from fighters and UAVs to naval and ground units, plays a critical role. Thus, a side-by-side cockpit layout allows the J-36 to function as a miniature airborne command center, providing real-time battlefield coordination directly from the skies. In terms of air intakes, the J-36 is believed to adopt trapezoidal inlets positioned high on the fuselage, similar to the F-22. This design improves engine performance while also reducing the radar cross-section when viewed from the front. The rear section, however, is even more unique. The J-36 appears to utilize three jet engines, arranged with flat, wide exhaust nozzles and no thrust vectoring system, TVS. This configuration is highly unusual among modern fighter jets, suggesting that China may be prioritizing speed and heavy payload capacity over extreme maneuverability. However, many experts have raised concerns about the stealth challenges this design poses. With 3 engines, there are more exhaust outlets to conceal, requiring extremely sophisticated shielding and airflow management solutions. This becomes especially critical when facing next-generation infrared tracking systems. The aircraft is also spotted with a large radar dome, supplemented by L-band and ER-band sensors mounted on both sides. It is highly likely that the J-36 will feature a next-generation ESA radar, capable of tracking dozens of targets simultaneously. With this setup, the J-36 could serve as an airborne command and control platform, engaging in electronic warfare while sharing real-time battlefield data with other units. If accurate, this represents a major leap forward compared to its predecessors, bringing it closer to the true 6th-generation fighter concept currently being pursued by the US and Europe. Close-up photos reveal that the J-36 is not limited to a central weapons bay, but also includes 2 additional side bays. This design carries significant implications. The central bay is intended for long-range missiles or large precision-guided bombs. The 2 side bays are optimized for smaller missiles and precision strike munitions. This allows the J-36 to combine the role of a heavy fighter with the tactical strike capabilities of a miniature bomber. Because of this versatility, many experts speculate that the J-36 may be a direct successor to a previously rumored regional bomber project that China was believed to be developing in the past. However, not everyone is completely convinced. Some experts have pointed out irregularities in the leaked images. The areas around the air intakes and the tail section appear to have been altered or manipulated, possibly due to editing or intentional lighting camouflage. Certain parts, such as the landing gear, may also have been deliberately blurred. That said, many other pieces of evidence appear credible. The background structures in the photos match the facilities at the Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group base, which is believed to be the central hub for J-36 development. Observers have also detected newly built hangars and engine testing facilities at this site, indicating that a large-scale development program is indeed underway. This leads to the most pressing question. What exactly is the J-36? Is it a 6th-generation fighter designed to compete with America's NGD program, or a tactical stealth bomber? The answer may well be a hybrid of both. The J-36 is not just another fighter jet. It represents an entirely new air combat doctrine, merging the roles of high-speed interceptors and long-range bombers into a single platform. Even without full confirmation, its very existence has already created psychological pressure on Washington and its allies. More importantly, it is expected to become a direct countermeasure to the B-21 Raider, potentially reshaping the strategic balance in the Western Pacific. However, as of now, the J-36 remains a mystery. All that exists are leaked images and speculative analyses. There has been no public test flight and no official specifications released by Beijing. Still, simply showcasing its existence, whether real or fake, is enough to cause serious concern among its rivals. Once confirmed, the J-36 could become the most critical piece of the puzzle, opening the door for the Chinese Air Force to enter a new era. If the B-21 Raider represents America's dominance in long-range strike technology, then the J-36 symbolizes China's ambition to build an aerial barrier to counterbalance US power. The unveiling of this 6th-generation fighter prototype sends a clear strategic message from Beijing. They no longer want to play catch-up. They want to set the rules in the 21st century air power competition. The J-36 also marks a major shift in Chinese military doctrine, moving from anti-access area denial (A2AD) toward anti-long-range strike capabilities. For decades, China relied primarily on ballistic missiles, dense air defense networks, and 4th-generation fighters such as the J-11 and J-16 to prevent US intervention in nearby waters. But against stealth long-range platforms like the B-21, which can launch from forward bases in the Western Pacific and penetrate multiple layers of defense, Beijing needs an entirely new type of weapon capable of actively counterattacking. The J-36, with its extended range and superior combat capabilities, is expected to become the spearhead of this mission. Secondly, a new generation of aircraft provides a psychological and political advantage in terms of strategic branding. In the past, Chinese fighters were often labeled as copies of Russian or American technology, but the J-36, at least in image and propaganda, is being built up as a symbol of independent innovation. The fact that Beijing could showcase a sixth-generation fighter prototype before Washington marks a significant shift in strategic confidence. This is especially important in flashpoint regions such as Taiwan, the South China Sea, and the East China Sea, where prestige and psychological strength can be just as critical as the number of weapons deployed. Third, the J-36 could become the core of China's integrated multi-role air power strategy. Its ability to control UAVs, coordinate with satellites, and manage electronic warfare systems allows it to transform from a single fighter jet into an airborne command center. If this assumption is correct, a squadron of J-36s could control a battle space spanning thousands of kilometers, forcing the U.S. into a reactive position in any intervention scenario. However, the true significance of this new fighter lies not only in the aircraft itself, but also in the reaction it compels from the U.S. The appearance of the J-36 will pressure the Pentagon to accelerate its sixth-generation fighter program under the NJD framework. In the long term, it could also serve as a diplomatic leverage tool for China in defense relations. Beijing has previously exported fighters like the J-10 and JF-17 and may soon export the J-31. Even if the J-36 is never sold abroad, merely proving its existence and capability would be enough to showcase China's defense industry strength. This reinforces China's image as a superpower capable of competing head-to-head with the U.S. in the highest echelons of modern air warfare. While the leaked images of the J-36 have fueled nationalistic pride and confidence within China, international observers remain cautious. Behind its futuristic appearance, the J-36 still faces deep-rooted technical and strategic barriers, challenges that Beijing is unlikely to overcome overnight. The biggest challenge, and perhaps the long-standing weakness of China's military aviation industry, is weight. In modern combat doctrine, a new generation fighter jet must not only be powerful in firepower, but also possess long-range combat capability. This requires the aircraft to carry large amounts of fuel while operating with extreme efficiency. The solution pursued by Russia, the US, and Europe has been to develop advanced engines strong enough to maintain supersonic cruising speeds without afterburners. This approach reduces maneuvering time while significantly extending operational range. Clearly, China is also pursuing this goal. Beijing wants to create a platform capable of flying far distances, maintaining a persistent presence in key areas. However, the fact that the J-36 relies on 3 jet engines reflects a harsh reality. China has not yet developed engines powerful and efficient enough to meet requirements, using only 2, as seen in most advanced fighters today. A sixth-generation fighter that must resort to a stopgap solution just to achieve the necessary thrust raises serious questions about China's technological capabilities. Moreover, the 3-engine configuration adds extra weight, complicates the airframe structure, and creates significant thermal stealth challenges. The more engines there are, the greater the infrared emissions, making the J-36 easier to detect by next-generation sensor systems used by the US and its allies. Unless China achieves major breakthroughs in cooling technologies and heat signature masking, the so-called B-21 killer could end up being a bright target on enemy radar screens. Another problem lies in aerodynamic design. The J-36 is believed to adopt a flying wing configuration, shaped to reduce radar signature and improve long-range flight efficiency. However, this design is notoriously difficult to control. Aircraft without tail fins or vertical stabilizers experience a significant reduction in flight stability. To keep the plane balanced, all aerodynamic control must rely entirely on avionics and computer systems. This means that if there is any software error or even a hostile electronic warfare attack, the J-36 could completely lose control. Given that China has never fully proven the absolute safety of its new generation fly-by-wire systems, this concern cannot be overlooked. Another major challenge is range and large-scale deployment capability. Even if the J-36 carries a large amount of fuel efficiently, it will still be heavily dependent on aerial refueling. In reality, this is one of the PLA Air Force's most critical weaknesses. Its current refueling fleet is both old and small, mostly consisting of converted H-6 bombers with limited range. Although China has begun developing an aerial refueling variant of the Y-20, it will take at least another decade before reaching the necessary scale. During that time, China's biggest limitation will remain in numbers and operational experience. The thin refueling fleet and lack of coordinated combat practice make sustaining long-range missions highly uncertain. This limitation means that while the J-36 may have long theoretical range, its real-world ability to maintain a constant presence over strategic areas like the Western Pacific will still be significantly constrained. In the end, this new aircraft can be seen as China's bold declaration in the skies of the 21st century. It symbolizes the dramatic transformation of China's defense industry and serves as a powerful propaganda tool aimed at Washington. However, the gap between a leaked prototype image and a fully combat-ready fighter capable of going head-to-head with B-21s or F-22s remains vast. Right now, the J-36 might be a flashpoint of public attention, but whether it can truly become a historic milestone in military aviation remains an open question. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And for now, goodbye and see you next time.